So Carreno Busta and Martinez, they're facing off in the second round of the Andalucia Open. Now, Carreno Busta, he hasn't played that much this year. He's only really played in 3 events so far, right? We're excluding the one that he's about to play now. He's only played in 3 events. And he played in the ATP Cup. He was able to make the semis. He made the semis in the ATP Cup, but he ended up losing to Fonini in 3 sets. It was a tight match, but he ended up losing it in 3 sets. He then played in the Australian Open right after that. He played right after the Australian Open, and he lost in the third round to Dimitrov. With a shame, he had to retire from a set down. Sorry, yeah, it was a set down. It was a bagel set down. Dimitrov bageled him 6-0, and then Dimitrov was up 1-0. It was up a break, and then he had to retire due to an injury. And then he now made his return in Dubai, and he lost to Fusovic in 3 sets. He managed to take the first set, but he lost in 3. So we'll see if he can bounce back on the clay courts, because he is a decent clay court player. He didn't make the quarterfinals last year on the clay courts. He did make the quarterfinals in 2017 on the French Open, and he did the same thing in 2020. So we'll see if he can maybe do something this year on the clay. But he's also playing a very experienced clay court player, so he's going to have to be wary of this guy's power here. Now, Martinez, he notched a good win over his fellow Spanish opponent. He beat him 6-2, 6-3, and it was a good match for him, because that guy that he beat, he actually had lost to him in a match prior before. So it was a good win for Martinez, because he was able to now take the next step, and he's now able to face Carreno Busta. But he has to be at his best if he's going to beat him. But something that he will be happy about is that Carreno Busta isn't in his best form right now, I guess, because he hasn't really played much this year. So something that he will take pride in is that Carreno Busta may have a little rust that he needs to shake off. So it's going to be important to see what can happen here. We're not going to be sure, but we're going to see whether he can get the victory, because Carreno Busta is rusty. Maybe the rustiness may get to him. We're going to see what will happen here, because Carreno Busta hasn't played that many matches this year. He hasn't really played a lot this year, so let's just see. Now let's go through their head-to-head. So Carreno Busta and Martinez, they haven't met at official tour level, but they met in Valencia in 2013, and Carreno Busta won that one 6-1, 6-0. So my prediction here, this one is a tough one, because some matches he may be rusty. I'm not sure how rusty Carreno Busta is going to be coming into this event, but I'm still going to pick him to win, because I think he's just a better player. He just ranks 100. He's ranked tens of spaces above his opponent now, and I think he's just going to. I think he's going to I don't think he'll dominate it, because he may be a little rusty. I feel maybe there'll be a tiebreak in the first set, but I think he can win this one in straight set. I'm going to pick Carreno Busta in straight sets. That's my pick. It may not be particularly one-sided, but I'm sure it's going to be a straight set win for Carreno Busta to start off the tournament. So Bagnis and Kwon, they're facing off in the second round of the Sardinia Open. Now, the Bagnis, he notched a good win over Cerundolo in 6-3, 7-6. He got revenge for the loss last time that he had to him when they played, I would say, a couple of years ago. So it was a good win for Bagnis, because, you know, Cerundolo is always a tricky opponent, especially on this clay court, and he was too good on the clay, so he would have taken pride that he beat an opponent that he lost to before. Now, Kwon also notched a good win over the rising star Holger Rune. He beat him in 3 sets, 6-3, 3-6, 7-6, and it was a good win for him, especially considering that I didn't know much about his clay court prowess. Yeah, I wasn't really sure about his clay court abilities. I didn't trust that he would be able to do so well, but he proved me wrong, and he was able to do well. So, a good win for Kwon, but he'll have to be at his best if he's to beat Bagnis here, because Bagnis is a good clay court player, and he's been in good form this year. He reached the final and the semifinal, so he's been in good form this year as well. So Kwon and Bagnes, they've never met on the tour officially, and in fact, they actually have never met at all. So they have a 0-0 head-to-head record. They've never met at all so far. So right now, this one is a tough match to call because both players are supposedly in good form. But I'm going to go with Bagnes because it looks like he has a better clay court ability. I think his clay court abilities are a little better than Kwon's are. I think that Kwon may just be getting used to the clay, even though he had a good win over Rune yesterday. I think that Bagnes will still win this because he's more at home on the clay. He's in Argentine. A lot of Argentines are at home on the clay. So as a result, I'm going to pick Bagnes to win this in straight sets like he did against Surrender. I think it's going to be straight sets again. I have a feeling that it'll go to a third, but me, I'm just going to go with straight sets because I think that Bagnes, he played really well today, and I think that he's going to do the same tomorrow. So, Bagnes in straight sets. So, Albert Ramos Vinolas and Ricardo Berankis are facing off in the second round of the Andalucia Open. So, let's go through each of these players' results so far. So, let's start with Ramos Vinolas. So, Ramos Vinolas, he has had some good results this year. It's looking like he's slowly rediscovering his form. He's had some decent results so far, and he participated in 2 tournaments in the Golden Swing, both of the ones that were both in Argentina. He didn't participate in Santiago. He participated in both of the ones that were in Argentina, and he was able to make the final. So a good run for him. He made the final, though he'll be disappointed because he did lose to the teenage. He did lose to Cerundolo, and he was a 19-year-old, and it was a good chance for Ramos Vinolas to win this. It was a good chance for him to win a title because he was facing a teenager that maybe didn't have much experience, while he was more experienced. So it was a good shot that he could have had to maybe win a title, but he didn't. So he will definitely be disappointed with that loss because he could have. It would have been a good chance for him to win, but he wasn't able to do it. In Argentina, he also had a good run. He made the semis, and he lost to Cerundolo in 3 sets, but this time the elder Cerundolo. So he's been a victim of both of the Cerundolo brothers now because he's now lost to both of the brothers now. So we're going to see what can happen. We're going to see whether maybe he can bounce back. Ramos Vinolas. Maybe he can make a deep run here because he's definitely good on the clay, and he can definitely make a deep run here too. Now, the Berankis notched a good win yesterday over Lucas Pouille, so he beat him 6-4, 6-7, 6-7-5, and he can take pride in the fact that he has had a little bit of a feel on the surface, while Ramos Vinolas hasn't played on this tournament yet, so he'll kind of know how the surface is a little bit. So that would be good in case he needs to. It'll be a good chance if maybe, Ramos Vinolas is slightly off or something. He may be able to take advantage and win that because he already knows how the surface is. While Ramos Vinolas doesn't really know yet. He's not really familiar with the surface that's happening in Spain. So let's go through their head-to-head. So this is where it gets interesting. They've met once, and Berankis won that one. Coming back from a set down, he won it 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. That was an indoor hardcourt though. But in 2015, they met in a qualifying event in Madrid, at the Madrid Masters. They met in a qualifying event, and Ramos Vinolas won that one 6-3, 6-3. So we know that Berankis isn't so good on the clay, and that was a qualifying event anyway, but it can still count. So their head-to-head is 1-0 officially in favor of Berankis, but then 1-1, including that qualifying event. So right now, my prediction here, I predict that Ramos Vinolas will win this one in straight sets. The reason I say straight sets is because he has, number one, he has the crowd support. He's playing in his home country, so he has the crowd support. And number two, he's also better on the clay than Berankis is. Berankis isn't so good on the clay. He's Way he's not he just notched up a win over a player that I guess wasn't in his best form. But while Ramos Vinolas is way better on the clay, he's way more experienced. So as a result, I expect Ramos Vinolas to win this encounter in a straight sets win. So my prediction is Ramos Vinolas in straight sets. So Norbert Gombos and Federico Delbonis, they're facing off in the second round of the Andalucia Open. So Gombos, he won his match against Londero, and he had to battle from a set down 6-7, 6-1, 6-3. And it was a good win for him, especially because he was struggling for form lately in 2021. So it was a good win for him because he was able to get back to winning ways. But if he wants to win this, he'll have to be at his very best. He's facing a player that is experienced on the clay in Delbonis and who is in decent form so far. So now let's go through his results. So Delbonis, he beat Viella on straight sets 7-5, 6-1. As I predicted, straight sets. I was right. Yeah, as I predicted, he beat him in straight sets, and that was a good win because you know Viella is always a tricky customer on the clay. He's always tricky on the clay, so it was a good win for Delbonis, and he'll know that he'll be happy because the person he's playing hasn't been so good lately in 2021. So he'll have confidence that he can win this match. Now, the Gombos and Delbonis, I don't think they've even met at all. So they have a 0. Yeah, they've not met at all. So they have a 0-0 head-to-head record. The record is 0-0 in the head-to-head. So right now, my prediction here is I think once again Delbonis will win this one in straight sets. Gombos hasn't really been in great form in 2021. He hasn't done as well as he did last year, I would say. And Delbonis is looking like he's in good form now. So as a result, I'm going to pick Delbonis in straight sets here because I think that he's in better form than Gombos, and I think that he's just playing better at the moment. Gombos, if he wants to win this match, he'll have to be at his very best, and even that may not be enough. But so right now, my prediction here is Delbonis in a straight sets victory.